Confidential video given to the New York Times reveals shocking details from the war crimes investigation of a Navy SEAL. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carla Chiquetto.
And I'm Marcella Lee, and tonight for Barbara Lee Edwards. Members of SEAL Team 7 were interviewed about the accusations against Special Operations Chief Edward Gallagher. He faced nearly a dozen charges, including the alleged murder of a teenage member of ISIS. David Martin reports from the Pentagon.
I think he's just wants to kill anybody he can.
Stark testimony from members of SEAL Team 7 paint a chilling picture of violence by their platoon chief.
Did he say anything when he did this, or did he just literally pull out a knife and just start stabbing him?
He just pulled out a knife and started stabbing him.
The evidence obtained by the New York Times was part of a war crimes investigation into Edward Gallagher, a decorated Navy SEAL who was accused of fatally stabbing a young ISIS prisoner. It includes never-before-seen body cam footage in which you see Gallagher over the limp ISIS fighter's body before the camera is switched off.
Did you interpret him as a threat at any point when Gallagher stabbed?
I did not, no.
Okay. Is there any doubt in your mind that these are war crimes?
No.
Corey Scott, whose testimony in court was crucial to Gallagher's acquittal, was also interviewed.
Did he do anything that could be interpreted as lunging, attacking Eddie in any way that would justify it?
No.
But on the stand, and after being given full immunity, Scott took the fall for the boy's death.
They tried to frame me as a criminal from the get-go.
In July, Gallagher was demoted after a military jury convicted him of posing for a photo with the ISIS fighter's corpse. A Navy board also considered stripping Gallagher of his trident pin, symbol of his status as an elite Navy SEAL.
They wanted to take his pin away, and I said, no, you're not going to take it away.
Last month, President Trump intervened and restored Gallagher's rank.
These are tough people, and we're going to protect our warfighters.
A move that angered many in the Navy, including former Navy Secretary Richard Spencer, who was ousted after requesting the president not get involved in Gallagher's case.
I don't think he really understands the full definition of a warfighter. A warfighter is a profession of arms, and a profession of arms has standards that they have to be held to, and they hold themselves to.
Gallagher, who just this week met with President Trump at his Mar-a-Lago resort, has repeatedly expressed his gratitude.
I don't know how many times I've thanked the president. He keeps, stepping in and doing the right thing.
Gallagher sent out an email calling the statements made in those videos blatant lies, and one of his attorneys said he intends to file a lawsuit against the New York Times. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
Reaction to the new videos is pouring in. It's providing new fodder for President Trump's critics, while his supporters point out Gallagher was acquitted by a jury.
News 8's Brandon Lewis is monitoring social media reaction and joins us now in studio. Brandon?
Earlier this week, we saw a lot of the president's supporters praising Mr. Trump's decision to invite Gallagher and his wife to Mar-a-Lago for the holidays. Today, it's mostly his critics, including some veterans who are questioning the president's involvement.
Chief Eddie Gallagher walked out of a San Diego Navy courtroom acquitted of all but the least serious charges, posing for a picture with the corpse of an ISIS fighter. President Donald Trump is an ardent ally of him, inviting him to Mar-a-Lago this week, which earned praise from some supporters like Mike, who said, quote, "Thank you, President Trump, for honoring an American hero, and thank you, Eddie Gallagher, for your service to our country," unquote. And Brian, who welcomed Gallagher home and also thanked the president. Then, the New York Times announced it obtained new video testimony of Gallagher's fellow SEALs who called him toxic and evil. Retired Navy Admiral James Stavridis said, quote, "New reporting on the SEAL war crime story is shocking to watch and does not represent what our military is all about," unquote. Another veteran said, quote, "Here's to the immensely brave Navy SEALs who've spoken out against Eddie Gallagher's war crimes. Their courage and devotion to honorable service is an example to all Americans in putting country above tribalism. Gallagher is a disgrace and unfit to wear the uniform of the U.S. Navy," unquote. Gallagher's attorney pointed out Gallagher was acquitted and in a statement said, quote, "Times reporter Dave Phillips' persistent desire to ignore the facts of this case, to continue to publish false and misleading articles months after the acquittal demonstrates clear bias and actual malice, which is why my client has instructed me to prepare a lawsuit against him and the New York Times," unquote. While Times editor Mark Lacey posted, quote, "Decide for yourself if Eddie Gallagher is a model warrior, as President Trump contends, or a reckless one, as some SEAL colleagues allege."
You can watch more from the interview tapes on The Weekly, which airs on FX and Hulu. Meanwhile, Gallagher retired from the Navy at the end of November. Carla?
Thank you, Brandon.